Welcome to week 3 of the Saturday Challenge. Hope we're going to have a great workout today. And the coach talk for today is me coming to you via the screen because I'm not home. I am not home. Week 1, we talked about beliefs. And what I really wanted to drive home is beliefs are the most powerful thing you own because they drive all of our behavior, all of our actions flow out of our beliefs. I talked about the laptop picture of I pulled my laptop out after work one day. The thing was smoking hot and I was like, what's going on? And the laptop had some sort of code running that said, you need to think really hard. You need to work really hard. And the thing was way overheating. And our brains are very similar. The beliefs run in our brains, and those beliefs can drive us to places of feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and anxious. And it's not the fault of the laptop. Generally speaking, it's the result of the beliefs that are running the show. To me, it's like, I haven't been to the doctor in a while, but when I was a kid, I'd go to the doctor and they'd make you cross your legs and they get that little rubber hammer with like that triangle thing on there, and they would like tap under your kneecap. And it was all, I always thought it was kind of fun, but then your foot would go, with every time they hit my knee. It's a reflex. I can't control it. It just does it. And our actions are very similar. Our actions are all a reflex to our beliefs. And so we talked about last time, behavioral modification is I'm going to try harder to change my behavior. And I believe the more sustainable way to change is change the beliefs so that our outcomes produce what we want. Sounds easy, but it's a lot of work because our beliefs tend to hide. Now, hide is kind of a weird thing to say, but we tend to look at the world through our beliefs and make sense of the world through our beliefs. And though we very rarely actually say, does this belief make sense? Does this belief send me on the road that I want? Does it take me to where I want to go? And so we have beliefs running the show, but we do very little to inspect the beliefs. Instead, they tend to hide, inside of us. They're running the show, and we look at the world through our beliefs, but we very rarely stop and say, what do I really believe? And is this helpful? Most of our beliefs are in place by age 6. Most of our core beliefs are in place by age 6. I like to say our beliefs are caught, not taught. Our parents didn't wake up today, when we were 4 and say, I'm going to teach my son what to believe about economics or money. But me as a 4-year-old was watching and I was going, how do I make sense out of this world? And so the beliefs of my folks were caught by me. Sometimes that's a little intimidating when I think about, me raising my own kids and go, oh, what the heck did they pick up from me? Anyway, the reality is most of our beliefs are caught, not taught. We don't wake up and say, I want to form a new belief today. It happens. And we don't really know what that belief is. So not knowing our beliefs doesn't make us weak, it just makes us human. It's part of how we were wired. We aren't wired to inspect our beliefs, but that's an invitation for people to live a better life. Let me inspect my beliefs and see where they go. Okay, so what I want to pick up from last time is beliefs are what causes us all of our actions. What we think, feel, say, and do all flow out of our beliefs. But then we want to go, where did I get my beliefs from? And so our beliefs are highly influenced by other people's beliefs. other people's beliefs. So in this case, there's, you could say external forces or external influences, because it's more than just people. Like, sure, my parents were highly influential in the beliefs that I have. And also, I had some coaches who were highly influential in my life. My socioeconomic background had influence. You take someone from Indian Hill, and their beliefs will probably be something very different from someone who is from Cebu, Philippines. It's just how we are raised and what we experience influences our beliefs. So we have all these other people's beliefs, and just start thinking of what some of those are. Music can be highly influential. They can influence our beliefs. TV shows influence our beliefs. My wife used to like watching Friends, and I would be like the old crotchety guy in the background going, what are they really teaching us to believe? And that didn't go so well. But at the same time, it was like the TV shows can shape our beliefs. They can influence our beliefs. We can laugh at something that's sacred, and it can shape or turn our beliefs. So, I believe our gender, our ethnicity, all have components that shape our beliefs. Okay. Because beliefs have to come from somewhere. Now, what I want to share is where do those beliefs trace back to? And I'm going to go, and sometimes I'm a little hesitant about we're going to put it in one or two buckets, but we're going to go down to two buckets. And I believe you can trace all of your own beliefs to either love or fear. All of our beliefs can be traced back to one of two factors: love or fear. Fear asked, how do I stay safe? How do I avoid shame? How do I keep from being rejected? And love is about openness. It's about growth. It's about learning. So, love always exhibits itself through trust, and fear always exhibits itself through control. Trust and control are two of the hugest factors of how we see love and fear playing out. And when I think of control, it's multifaceted. It's how am I trying to control what people think about me? How am I trying to control what people say about me? How am I trying to control my reputation? How am I trying to control what my kids say, what my wife does, whatever. So when I think about control, I can go and say, it sounds like that's a fear-based belief. And so once we start examining our beliefs, we can work backwards, and we sometimes can say, oh, where did that belief come from? A lot of times it can be traced back to, some sort of memory, a bad experience, a great experience. But we go beyond that, and we can say, yeah, that came from a place of love, or it's coming from a place of fear. Fear asked, how do I stay safe? Love asks, how do I stay aligned? And so when I think about some of my own beliefs and some of my own journey, I can say, go back to trophy awards. My coach said, Tom, it doesn't seem like you affirm people very much. I was like, well, yeah, I probably don't. He was like, yeah, tell me more about that. Where's that? Where's that coming from? And what I said was, well, if you affirm too much, people probably won't work as hard as you want them to. It's like, oh, really? And I said, yeah, and more. And I think people who need a lot of affirmation are weak. And then he said something like, well, is that true? And so what he got me to do was to expose some of what those beliefs are. And then he asked me, is that true? So is it true that people who need affirmation are weak? No, everyone needs affirmation, even though we may say we don't need it. And then if I withhold affirmation, then I can try to control people and try to ration it out so they're always like striving to prove. So I can take my own fear of wanting to control people and put fear in them. It's very contagious. So when I think about this, love expresses itself in belonging. Fear expresses itself in shame or being abandoned. Love expresses itself through candidness, openness. Fear expresses itself through secrecy. I have a whole list. If you're interested, I can send you a list, but just basically contrasting components of love versus fear. And how this becomes helpful is if I can start tracing my beliefs, and I can go, is that belief coming from love or is that belief coming from fear? Is that belief really true because I'm living as if it's true? So the reality is we all believe things that aren't true. But we believe it's true as it's wired into our programming. So, it's like if you go tell someone, well, what you believe is wrong, you should believe like I believe, as in 100 million Facebook posts every day. You're wrong. This is how it is. So we're not looking at our beliefs. What we're basically saying is you need to change your belief and your belief should become like mine. And the reality is I want to continually look at my beliefs and say, are they serving me? Are they aligning me to who I want to be? Are they aligned with love or are they aligned with fear? So some of those journal prompts are about trying to expose what are those motivating factors? What are the things that keep me going to the kettle chips? And what are the things that keep me going to a pepperoni pizza and a pitcher of beer? Well, there's beliefs behind there, and exposing those beliefs and say, is that belief coming from a place of love or a place of fear? I don't want to get too Sunday school-like. And though, in the garden, we are told that at the end of Genesis chapter 2 is something like, well, Adam and Eve were in the garden, they partnered with God, they walked with God, and they were naked and they were unafraid. The serpent came in and said, you know what, I think God's holding out on you. I don't think he's really trustworthy. And then they did rebellion, and next thing you know, fear entered the world, and they were hiding themselves. We were never meant to live as turtles. We were never meant to live bundled up and afraid. And though that's how most of us choose to live, only showing little pieces of ourselves because we don't want to show the whole self. Our biggest desire and our biggest fear revolve around the same thing, and that's being known. Thanks for listening today. I hope it challenges you, and as it challenges me, and I just want to say, this is part of the journey that I'm on, and this is part of the journey, I try to help other people to understand what are the belief systems driving our behavior. Thanks, everyone. Have a great workout. Bye.